Hey, Algebra 2 people. We're going to be doing just some examples. I'm going to do 3 examples. They're the ones that are listed in the notebook of distributing and combining like terms. So the first one we're going to do is this guy. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to do them. So if you are confused or something, you can look at this and have good luck. So the first thing I'm going to do is I see something on the outside of parentheses. It actually could be on the end too, but this was at the beginning. So I'm going to take the 3n and multiply it by the 4n. I sometimes show it as an arrow, like this. Either way, works for me. 3n times 4n, well 3 times 4 is 12. And then it has 2 n's, so there's n. Well, n times n is n squared. So if you're typing it to me in like the chat and forums, you can just type it as nn, but we'll go n squared. That means the same thing. N times n is n squared. The second thing I'm going to do is take it and multiply it by the other one. So 3n times negative 1. So anytime you have a positive times a negative, it always is going to end up as a negative. If they're different symbols, it ends negative. If you have the same symbol, even negative times a negative, you end positive. So anyway, 3n times negative 1. Well, 3 times 1 is 3, but it's negative because it's positive times a negative. And then there's an n still. And that is all she wrote. Just multiply the 3n times both things and you're done. That's simplified. Okay, second example. This looks kind of the same, but this one has distributing and then some stuff afterwards. So let's do this. First of all, I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to distribute it in. So the first thing it's going to do is go to the 6k. So that ends up as 30. 5 times 6 is 30, and there's 1k hanging out there. Then we got the 5 and the negative 1. So again, positive times a negative is a negative, so that ends up as negative 5. Feel free to use a calculator if you're lost. And we still have this plus 5k hanging out there. Oh boy. Let's use green, but I'm not going to make it such a giant pen. Anyway, so we have plus 5k. So I got like terms in here, the 30k, and hopefully I can make that one bigger too. Sweet. And the 5k. Those guys are like terms. They both have a k at the end. The blue doesn't have that, so we'll combine the 30k and the 5k. Use a calculator if you're worried about negatives or anything. These are just positive, so it's no big deal. We got 35. Gosh dang it. These pens are so giant. I'm going to deal with this now so I don't have to do it later. Much better. Okay, we've got 35k. That's from my 2 like terms. That's from the 2 yellows. Minus 5. I've got all my terms combined. These 2 can't because they don't have the same amount of k's. We're good. So again, these are almost the same. Both of them you did the distributing, but this one just had an extra term I had to combine. Then the third kind is the double distributing. And it's actually really similar. Instead of one thing in front, it's 2 things in front. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to take the 4n times 7n. Well, 4 times 7 is 28. And they have 2 n's, so that's an n squared. Or you could type it as an nn if you're in my forms. We've got 4n times negative 3, so the 4 goes to both. Positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 3 is 12, and there's still an n hanging out. So that part's done. So the 4 is all good to go. That's done. No worries about the 4. He's all finished. But the 6 still has to get distributed in, because I have this whole thing I have to send, not just one thing. So 6 times 7, then it's a negative times positive, so it's a negative. There's 1 n hanging out. And then I have this last one. I can use rainbow pen for the last one because I'm out of colors. So negative 6 times negative 3. 2 negatives make a positive when you're multiplying. It's a crazy looking pen. And I'll just refer back to up here. two negatives make a positive. And I just have to combine like terms. So I use my highlighter for like terms. You look at them closely and you think, okay, which ones have the same variables and the same powers? The n squared is not the same. So red is not the same as blue because n squared is not the same as blue. So what I'm going to do is I'll use my highlighter. The two that are good to go are those two because they both have an n. And they're added together. Again, if you're worried about negatives, just use a calculator for now. I think, so these, the outside ones, they're just hanging out. They're going to be the same. So 28n squared is the first one. Those two will combine. I think of it like money. If you owe someone $12 and you owe them $42 more, you owe them just even more money. So we're just down more. The negative is a positive thing. That only is for multiplying. Anyhow, so this is going to be 54. And we're combining them, so we're not worrying about powers. And we got 18. So that's going to be our final answer. So to recap, we basically are at, if you see something outside parentheses, you send it in. See something outside of parentheses, you send it in. See something outside of parentheses, hey, they're both outside of the parentheses, so we send them both in. And that's the gist. The part that gets people the most is like the differences between adding and multiplication. So like n times n gets me an n squared, but when we're combining the two highlighted ones, the two highlighters combined here, that's adding. So adding actually works differently. I don't double up the n's when you add. You only get the power when you're multiplying. And it's something you'll get over time. But just keep trying problems, keep working with me, and we got it. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'll talk to you guys soon.